Hi everyone, I'm Susan Mulvihill. If you're not familiar with my videos, I write the garden columns for the Sunday edition of the Spokesman Review newspaper here in Spokane, Washington. And I also shoot weekly videos to go with them on all kinds of gardening topics throughout the growing season. I'm also co-author of the book, The Northwest Gardener's Handbook from Cool Springs Press. Now Sunday, February 23rd is when my first column of the season runs. And you can always find links to the columns on my website, which is susansinthegarden.com. Boy, what a difference a year makes. Last year, for the first 3 videos of the season, I was knee-deep in snow, and that sure made it hard to talk about gardening. But this time around, we've had a pretty mild winter with really not all that much snow, and the temperatures have been quite mild. It's chilly today, but it's certainly bearable. Now, my husband and I live on 5 acres in a rural area of Spokane County. This is in USDA Hardiness Zone 5B. And our growing season, as far as frost-free days goes, is approximately the middle of May to about the middle of September. So not a super long growing season, but we can grow all kinds of things, from veggies and herbs to tree fruits, to berries, all kinds of flowers, trees, and shrubs. So there is a lot to talk about in the world of gardening here. You've probably noticed all of these raised beds. We actually have 27 of them, and that gives you an idea of just how much we love raised bed gardening. So if you are thinking about adding some raised beds to your garden this year, I heartily recommend it because they are fabulous. Now you probably have also noticed the hoop house behind me. A hoop house is a plastic covered greenhouse, and we've had ours for 4 years now. It covers 2 of our raised beds, and during the winter months I use it to grow salad greens, which is wonderful. And then during the summer months I like to grow some warm season crops in there, such as peppers. So that has been a great addition to our garden, and another thing that I heartily recommend. Another structure in our garden is this greenhouse. It is 6 feet wide by 8 feet long, and believe it or not, our awesome neighbors across the street gave this to us probably about 28 years ago. They had purchased the property, the greenhouse was already there, and they knew they wouldn't be using it and it was in the way, so they said, "Would you like it?" And we said, "Yes, absolutely." So we have really enjoyed using this. It obviously needs a bit of a paint job, so I guess I need to add that to my list of chores this year. In this southern area of our vegetable garden, we had quite the project last fall, and that's because tree roots had been infiltrating the raised beds. These raised beds do not have bottoms on them, which is actually quite typical. And so the roots were coming up and they were competing with the plants we were growing on purpose for moisture and nutrients. So we knew we had to do something about that. And what that involved was removing the raised beds temporarily, removing the soil, moving the bark mulch out of the way from the pathways, and putting down a couple of layers of what's called weed block fabric or landscape fabric. And we really feel that is going to resolve the problem. The trees will still get moisture that filters down into the ground, so I think it's kind of a win-win situation for the trees and the vegetable crops we grow here. Now, speaking of projects, we've got another big one coming this spring, and that is to remove 3 of the pine trees that are on the east side of our garden. They are starting to block a lot of light, and of course sunlight is the key to being successful at growing vegetables. Now, we do not take it lightly having to remove some trees because we know how important they are. But we have to do it. We'll put in trees in other areas of our garden, and then we'll put a bunch of native shrubs here that are a lot shorter. To the north of our vegetable garden, and next to a pond, in case you're wondering what that water sound is our small organic orchard. And this is where we grow apples, cherries, plums, and pears. We love having fresh fruit, and we grow everything organically because it's so important to us, just like in our vegetable garden. Now in the coming weeks there's going to be a lot of pruning going on in here, but that's all just part of the spring chores. Out in our front yard, one of the projects we tackled last year was to put in this pollinator garden. And you can see the orchard behind there just in case you want to get your bearings. But what we did is we took out quite a lot of lawn and then we planted all sorts of native plants, annuals, and perennials. And it was so much fun watching them come up and develop and flower and attract all kinds of pollinators. Now you can see it looks like a bit of a mess right now, but that's okay because what I did was I left a lot of the seed heads for birds to eat during the winter months. So I'll clean those up, we'll watch the plants start growing again, and I'm planning to add a few more plants to the bed as well. Well, that's my mini garden tour for now. We are going to cover so many cool gardening topics over the coming months, and so I hope you'll join me each week to see the videos and learn more about gardening. Now, if you're one of the ones who made suggestions for gardening topics when I first asked about them, thank you so much. There were great ideas in there and you'll be seeing them in coming videos. But if you haven't commented on that yet and you have things you're interested in, please feel free to put a note in the comments below this video on my YouTube channel, and there will be a link to that at the end of this video. Thanks so much for watching this video, everybody, and I'll see you next week.